just simply acknowledge it. That executive session, I would to acknowledge that immediately after our December board meeting, we broke into an executive session, and then this would then follow with a quick roll call of the current board members that are in attendance for this conversation, or for this meeting this morning. Ingrid Shepherd is not absent. Tripita?
Yes.
Connie Swenson?
Yeah.
Jania Daniels? Absent. Angela, we'll edit the agenda. Angela Bowie is on the phone.
Apologies.
Okay. Daniel Connor is absent. Kathy Palmieri is, I believe her term is expired, but she is not present. And Charles.
Here.
All right. With that, we will be moving forward with the agenda. We welcome our guests here this morning, and thank you for your participation and attendance. What we will do is for each of the voting items, since we do have a quorum for this meeting, we will simply allot, prior to any vote and or final decision, we will offer the ability for folks to interact and offer their perspective on that particular matter prior to the board's consideration. Do we need to do anything with meeting minutes, Jamar, from December?
We do not, because this is a special meeting focused on the items that the board requested.
And I would like to take a step back, and since we do have her here this morning, I would like to acknowledge our Councilwoman, Councilwoman Cindy Bass, and thank you for joining us and the Councilwoman's attention. As we'll get into the nature of things, really, I think for the public at large, there are some urgent matters in which the board needs to seriously address, and which is why we've heightened this meeting. Dennis, thank you from the Commerce Department. There is, you'll learn about what we've come to just simply based on what we've identified over probably the last 6 months, based on the previous executive director, the transition of our current board, and then ultimately what we're going to do from a reauthorization standpoint. And then I think also what we're going to do from a mailing standpoint. I think another element of this is once we do get our finances in better standing, we really need to begin to understand what we're going to do around cleaning the business corridor and making sure that those improvements take place. So there's a plan in place, or at least we're discussing that now. But I just simply want you all to know that we are focused on trying to strengthen and improve this organization. So with that, hi, Allison, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning.
I would simply, if I may, just, Councilwoman, do you have anything you'd like to offer, or would you like us to proceed?
Well, I do want to, number one, thank everybody for being here this morning. Oh, okay. You know, I just have a question. I know that you're filming, so is everybody comfortable with that? I just want to make sure that everybody.
My understanding is it's a public meeting, so it will be filmed.
But still, if somebody didn't feel comfortable being on camera, I'm on camera.
They can, but that's fine.
It's okay.
That's
it's okay
fine,
with
sure.
me.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you know, it's just nice to ask people. You know, that's all I'm saying.
And where's that?
This is East Falls local.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not just, okay. All right. So anyway, number one, I want to thank everybody for being here. This is very important. You know, this is very important to me because we've done a lot in Germantown. You know, we've worked extensively with Commerce and you know, the different city agencies to really give Germantown the attention that it needs and deserves. And you know, we've had a number of stumbling blocks along the way. But that's okay. You know, we understand that things are going to happen, but we're going to continue to push forward. We're going to continue to do what's in the best interest at all times for Germantown. And so moving this organization forward is very, very important and high up on our agenda. You know, we've done work with the GSSD since its re-inception, if that's a word, when we first came in 2011 or 2012. And we're going to continue to do this until we get it right. We hope that these will be steps that will move the organization in the direction that it needs to go to work for Germantown. I mean, that's pretty simple. And so we're going to continue to do that, and we want to thank everyone for being here. We need your help. We need your support, and we need folks to be involved along the way. So that's really all I wanted to say, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to to weigh in just a little bit.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
You're welcome.
And I think just in lock and step with those remarks, if Jamar, we could kindly circulate a sign-in sheet for all of the guests that are here so that we can collect their contact information so that moving forward we're able to once again capture and making sure that everybody receives any necessary communication for the organization. I think what that is for my own benefit, since I am still fairly fresh as a board member, if folks could identify themselves, once again, media-wise, whether it's business owner, however that takes place. Dennis, I know you, so.
Perhaps you could still introduce.
We could do a
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Dennis Murphy, and I work within the Commerce Department in the Neighborhoods Unit of the Commerce Department, and one of my roles is I'm a liaison to the business improvement districts in the city.
I'm Roger Kern. I'm the Business Service Manager for the Commerce Department for this section of the City of Philadelphia.
Steve Fillmore, co-editor, East Falls Local.
I'm Jake. I'm with Plant Philly and the public radio station.
Keith Cushak, Friends of Germantown Northwest. We are a civic association, and our focus is on public health and safety administration.
I'm Emily Doley. I'm the corridor manager at Germantown United CDC. Our executive director, Andy Trackman, regularly attends the board meetings, and we collaborate with the GSSD. He's out today, so I'm in his place.
Okay.
Greg Palmier.
Pamela Marisi.
What was your name, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Pamela Marisi.
Hi, Pamela.
Welcome.
Ernie Freeman, First Presbyterian Church. We have an interest in a lot of things in the community, and anything we can do to help. We have a new pastor, and she is hungry to get involved in a lot of different things, so I'm a point person for her on those things.
Good morning, Brenda Littlejohn. I am 15-year, you got my letter? 15-year resident of Germantown, one-time business owner, and I am right at Green and 5519 Green Street, and concerned because we are in the corridor, and we've been in the corridor, so I represent the neighbors along that corridor as well. And we have
Allison?
Allison Weiss, Solo Germantown Civic Association, RCO, and Main Avenue Merchant Association.
We also need to introduce ourselves. Okay.
Hi, I'm Cindy Bass, 8th District Councilperson.
Charles Richardson. I work for her.
Aaliyah Evans. I own Pyramid Accounting Solutions.
Jamar Kelly, Interim Executive Director.
Joe Mead. I am a board member and I work at LaSalle University.
Trapita Mason, Germantown resident. I'm also a board member.
Cornelia Swenson, Board Secretary, Executive Director of Johnson House Historic Site.
And on the phone?
Yep.
And on the phone, yeah.
Okay.
Jamal, do you want to just remind people about the comments for the
So yeah, just a reminder, we're going to do public comment at the end of the meeting. Please feel free to write down your question. We're trying this format because our December meeting ran very long, and we welcome your comment, and we don't want anyone to feel shortchanged in any way. So please jot that down and pass it along, and we can get those questions answered. Because it's a special meeting, we're going to be focused on the board business here, but we do welcome feedback on GSSC overall during the public comment.
I got it. Yeah. Okay, so with that, and thanks, Jamar, there are a few items in which there will be some action since we do have a quorum of the board. We can provide a little, some background as to what each resolution speaks to, and more importantly, I think maybe the impetus for those particular items. And truth be told, hopefully there's not much discussion because we'd like to get to our guest presentation this morning by Ms. Evans regarding the status of the financial work that she has uncovered probably within the last month, 2 months? Last month, okay. So with that, you will see, and folks, I believe you're privy to the meeting materials, but resolution number 003-2019. This is a resolution to remove Ingrid Shepherd as the board chair for Germantown Special Services District. If I just to provide some background, we have Ingrid's been the board chair, I would say, Connie, for 4,
Maybe, no.
3.
We had a board chair before, Joe Martin. So she's been the board chair for maybe about 2.5 years.
Okay. Ingrid's been the board chair for 2.5 years. I think many of you are very familiar with her. I believe she's a business owner, entrepreneur of the One Less Foundation. But within the past couple of months, we have not heard from Ingrid, and she has not been visible regarding some of the activity that the board has been very concerned about. So with that, we were actually able to have a recent conversation courtesy of Councilwoman Bass with legal counsel and city council in review of our bylaws, in which we are recommending for the removal of Ms. Shepherd as the board chair, and then ultimately the subsequent resolutions that are on the docket this morning. We will then begin to populate the leadership of the board for the Germantown Special Services District. Before the board takes any vote, I would welcome and offer any public comment regarding that resolution. Inquiry as well. Okay.
Just, you said it was 2003 to 2018. You said 19.
No.
18 is what's on here.
Oh, yeah, apologies. That'll be corrected.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Joe, how was Ingrid Shepherd put on the board originally? How did she come to be on the board?
My understanding, it's a nomination process where her name is recommended, and then it is ultimately via resolution through city council, recommended by the 8th district council person, and then ultimately by the full council membership.
And that's the way each of the board members are chosen, by the 8th district council person?
Yes, I believe there's a committee process. I know that personally for myself, once again, Ingrid predates me regarding on the board, but you are, I don't want to say interrogated, but ultimately you are questioned based on your interests and skill sets by a committee within city council. Your name comes out of committee and then is fully vetted by the floor of council.
I ask because at a past meeting, I brought up the idea of the board being democratically elected by the people of Germantown that pay for this service or lack of service, and that's never been addressed.
While we don't have seats, there's some room in the back. Unfortunately, you will have to stand, everyone. There's an extra agenda here. Apologies for that, but we can move on to the back.
So that issue came up at a previous meeting, and I'm wondering if the board has addressed that issue and that question as to why not have the board elected by the representatives, by the people that actually pay the taxes that are supposed to create services that have not been created by this organization. So I'm hoping the board will address that issue.
Yeah, there is, this is once again a part of this shift in leadership here. But I do know directly that there is a nominations committee, which is a standing committee of the board, and then that committee collects recommendations, interests, and I think as a part of this moving forward level of transparency, we would send out a communication to the public at large for nominations or recommendations for the board that they would ultimately be vetted by that particular committee, whether it's an interview process, a review of a resume, however that plays itself out, and then once again from that, the committee process, the names come out to the full board, to this body. So once again, another opportunity for the public to engage as to who the board would be recommending. Ultimately, that would then go to the office of council, of the 8th district council person.
And let me just add in also that Ingrid didn't come out of the blue. Ingrid was recommended by the board at that time because of her activity on the board. She was very, very active. And so it wasn't that I had any sort of relationship, or there wasn't any sort of transparency, particularly among the board members. The board members made the recommendation that Ingrid be the chairperson. So.
Question? I was here from the inception, and there was, under Joe Martin, a nominating committee. That nominating committee seems to have faded away. Is there a nominating committee, and who are the members of the nominating committee?
Yes.
Who are the members?
It's a standing committee. I don't know that there are currently members assigned to it.
So there's no members assigned at this particular time?
It's a committee that does need to be reconstituted, yes.
So when will that take place?
I would like to amend that and say that the nominations committee meets as needed. So it is a standing committee, but it meets as needed, so it doesn't have regular monthly meetings. And it does that work. And depending on who's on the board is determines who is interested and who will serve at that moment.
Okay. Any other questions?
How long does the interim, how long does the interim board chair last? Or when will that be voted on? Has that been determined?
Yeah.
We're still on resolution A.
No. We'll get to that and I can answer that when we get to B, item B. Okay. Yes.
What was?
What would the process be? I know some new property owners and businesses in the community that are interested in serving, and I said I would connect them. What's the process? Or should I just connect them to you if they're interested in their?
Yeah, just they can send their resume or CV, and then we will forward it to the interim board chair.
Okay.
And they're going to set up a next nominations committee meeting.
Great.
But it is timely because we do have 2 members whose terms have just expired.
Right.
So in order to make sure that we are succinct from a voting standpoint, that would be ideal.
Some of them have been in touch.
I would recommend
but please be advised. So there's the nominations committee, then it goes to the board, then it goes to the council, then it goes to the mayor. So that's at least a 2 to 3 month process. But so nothing is going to happen overnight. And even with removing the chair, that board member still stays on the board. So we're clear about that.
This is the context of the resolution with Ms. Ingrid Shepherd. What was her last official act or action?
Hiring me, possibly. Actually,
that's a good question.
That was a
No. It would actually have been engaging the Ray of Hope project to provide cleaning services on the corridor when Ready, Willing, and Able is no longer working with us. That was the last.
And for the record, that entity, Ray of Hope, is?
The cleaning is currently suspended because we don't have adequate funding.
Right. But the Ray of Hope as an entity, like who are they as a player in this picture?
They are someone that that Ms. Shepherd had reached out to. I'm not sure of the relationship, but they were brought in and they did provide a more than adequate service during the time that we used them. But once funding is secure, we are open to a myriad number of options, including bringing that sort of service in-house, which the previous 5-year budget included staffing. Can we entertain a motion to move on the resolution?
He's trying to move the agenda along. Hearing no more questions and or comment regarding the resolution, I would now pose the question to the board. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 003-2019, removing Ingrid Shepherd as the board chair?
So moved. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion has been moved and properly carried and adopted. Continuing with the resolution and board business, I would like to call the board and the public's attention to Resolution 004-2019, resolution to appoint Mr. Peter Mason to my right as the interim board chair. Prior to the board's consideration of this resolution, I would like to address Ms. Littlejohn's inquiry regarding the timing of this. We have not identified a time frame as it stands right now. I think part and parcel for this one is we need to reconstitute the board. It would be my projection and really based on Trapita and some of the conversations that we've had to date is that she would at least conclude or serve as the interim board chair, perhaps maybe until June. And then at which time, that is consistent with the city council cycle. So by the time city council adopts its budget, I think also more importantly, we would at that point be able to have a plan as to what, a firm plan as to what we're doing from a reauthorization standpoint, and then more importantly, the future mailing process and how it plays itself out. Yes.
How did you arrive at Trapita as the
We had a board conversation in which we all discussed who would be willing based on their experience, but also more importantly from a timing standpoint, just simply who has enough time in history. But
our bylaws also state that.
Yes, of course, correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you. That's correct. Yes, she's an excellent. If I may call the question to the board, a motion to adopt resolution 004-2019, appointing Ms. Trapita Mason as the interim board chair.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Oh, second. I'm ready to see writing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions? The motion has been moved and successfully adopted.